Hello everybody, my name is Robert Samporna, Keeper of the Lights, and I'm here with a very auspicious crew of light workers. Would you like to introduce yourself from the left, Kevin?
Kevin, Pleiadian Keeper of the Light Codes.
Quite a title, isn't it?
It is.
Pleiadian Keeper of the Light Codes. And sitting next to Kevin?
Sharon, and I'm the Keeper of the Stellar Gateways, which is an amazing thing to be doing, actually, to be the Keeper of the Stellar Gateways. And it's been profound for me to actually step into that role. So, yeah, it's amazing.
Very important role for humanity at the moment, keeping the portals all clear, all in the light, so we can access those and touch the heart of humanity, working through the ley lines and grid lights and portals. And to my right?
Hi, I'm Anita, and I am an Actuarian Starseed, and my title is Chakra Queen. I've always been obsessed with chakras, and now it appears working with these amazing beings that my role is the chakras in the portals or the ley lines or whatever we're working on at the time to clear those low frequencies. And actually, we should share with everyone what Starseed we are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here's Harley.
So myself, Pleiadian Starseed, that's my last incarnated life off of planet. And Kevin?
Pleiadian through Lemuria.
Yeah.
And I'm Orion Starseed.
Yes, we have quite a mix, haven't we? Arcturian. So it's beautiful how we all come together at these very auspicious times of the Great Awakening, which is now in 2021. Much has been spoken about 2012, and that was a considerable piece of work, not a coming of the end of the world, but actually the closing of the door and opening into a new aspect of who we are. But the quickening in time that we're seeing and the amount of spiritual activity, that all of us light workers and starseeds are beginning to remember who we are and why we've actually decided to come and incarnate at this time, which is a big piece for us four to be coming together to conduct some profound work together in the aspects of some of the reality that we don't see around us, but building that framework for humanity to start to ascend out from the denser aspects of the third dimension into what I've always been told, working with the Ascended Masters, into the sixth dimension, that because we've had such that profound application of raising our frequencies consistently, that yes, we'll be transitioning through the fifth dimension, but actually landing up into the sixth dimension, which is a beautiful dimension to play in. More of the soft colour palettes that we see in the Resine or Dulux spread of colours, and just far more angelic than the fifth dimension, which is again another beautiful aspect of consciousness that we might talk to a little bit in with the accessing of the throat chakra, but then more up here into our sacred sight channels, where we're utilising more of our third eye and fourth eye applications to see interdimensionally. Sixth dimension.
So we thought we'd all come together to talk about what we did last night at Castle Hill in New Zealand. Castle Hill was named by the Dalai Lama as the spiritual centre of the universe. And we all know why, because when we're there, we'll talk about our experiences. But if we just rewind a little bit to really bring this story together today, Robert really began some of these coincidences that happen for all of us to kind of piece this together. It's like a puzzle. And Robert had a client, Glennis, who came for an actual session on her health. And she arrived with a book, and she said to Robert, I've got this book for you. You have to have this book. And it was by Freddie Silver, called The Missing Lands. And, of course, she'd marked the area on Castle Hill. And then Robert and Glennis got together and had this day of realigning the ley lines. Would you like to share about that day?
Yeah. I was told by the other Ascended Masters that we had to go and do a reconfiguration of work before 21/12/2020, because there was a configuration of energy that Bruce Caffey talks about, some people may know on the call, and Freddie Silver about the triangulation of energy between Easter Island, Lake Titicaca, and over into Flock Hill. And there's that major junction point of energy wasn't rerouted up to Castle Hill through the interdimensional portal at Castle Hill. So part of my role, I had to be out by the 21st of December 2020 to go and do this configuration of light. Otherwise, the energies that some people may remember with a lot of the World Service activations for the Rainbow Serpent, the energy wouldn't have moved through Uluru had we not, we'll go on a goosebumpy talking about it, if we hadn't run the energy like we needed to through the interdimensional portals at Castle Hill.
Yeah, because the line also runs from New Zealand through Uluru on its way to Lake Titicaca.
It does, yeah. So we get guided a lot in those little activations, and the knowingness that had I not turned up there, it would have been like missing my wedding date. So it's kind of on that level of importance that you really don't have a choice, you're going.
Yeah, you took the day off, did your diary, you just knew you had to go. Yeah.
So it's how it really unfolds with the four of us too, in piecing together who we are and why we're here as starseeds. Like many of the other starseeds, are uncovering too, at this time.
Well, I'd just like to add there how Kevin and Sharon connected. We had a night together, a sacred cacao ceremony, and Sharon had this piece of paper because Sharon had been. Would you want to tell about what that was about?
So I do get channeled information through, and this one night, it was like I got jolted awake, and it just came through, and I wrote this. It was like a diagram, and then it had the light language around it, and wasn't quite sure what it meant at that stage, but I knew it was very, very significant and very important. And then we had the cacao ceremony, and I met up with Kevin for the very first time, and I showed him this. I just got the need to show Kevin what this is, and he said it's the key. It's the key to open the gateway.
And do you want to explain, Kevin, why you knew that or how that came to you?
Well, I mean, a lot of what we do is not about us knowing, but it's following our intuition, isn't it? Mm. So, and when you trust your intuition and you actually speak what you feel, then you can deliver a message that's meant to be delivered. Mm-hmm. So, and that's how I feel quite a lot of the time. I don't even know that I'm sending a message or telling somebody, but I'm just drawn to say something, and it pops out, and away we go, opening up
and
mysteries.
And it was quite interesting because if anyone's seen the film Stargate, like the light language that was seen around that Stargate is what Stargates actually look like.
Yeah, it is. And
in the movie, you remember that there was a piece missing there that they had to piece together again to activate the Stargate for it to open, for them to then travel to a different space, time and dimension. And the same thing happens with us here, that we have opportunities to play through these portals and the Stargates to start to alter the fabric of reality. But I don't just get the key, it's then like it's passed through to Sharon, as the keeper of the stellar gateways, but decoded by Kevin, keeper of the Atlantean light codes.
And I was there.
We get this pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, and I believe it's designed that way. So one person can't then just go off by themselves to do any piece of work, whether on the light side of the fence or the other side of the fence, that we need to be with like-minded spiritual people, the keepers of that knowledge, to come collectively to work together as one. And that's really what we're seeing in humanity now, isn't it? It's like that reconnection point into that stillness, into that oneness, into our sacred heart space. And if it doesn't feel right, with the knowledge then that, both of you brought forwards, then we wouldn't have been accessing these opportunities for humanity to start to experience what we're experiencing.
And that we'd all be here in New Zealand. I mean, I'm from Australia. You're from England. You're New Zealand.
North Island.
And here we are all together. And that night when Sharon brought the piece of paper out, it was really amazing because Kevin's looking at it and he turns it around and he just straight away goes, right, you have to go from that point to that point. And that's the order that will open the gateway. Yeah, it was amazing. So then on the 11th of the 11th, we knew we needed to go to Castle Hill through Robert's guidance. So do you want to take up the story of the work you knew we had to do on the 11th to lead into Sharon sharing what happened?
So we've been up to Castle Hill probably, it might have been in and around that 21st of the 12th, 2020, or sometime just after that. And we've been running some cacao ceremonies up at the top at Mauritanian and Grandfather Rock, playing in these interdimensional portals. And I remember walking past this particular portal, and my guide said to me, that's a portal over here where you can start to look on the expression of starseeds, what's coming up in your lifetime, whether it's next month, next year, 5 years, 10 years, that we've got opportunities to play in these portals. And I was like, wow, that sounds really cool. Like, really looking forward to playing with that. And then they just left it and said, no, now's not the time to start to look at that. And when we were nearing the time to, I think it was in October, and my guides were saying to me, right, we're going to need to be doing this piece of work on 11/11. And I started to telepathically tune into it, and they told me not to, because, if you're working in these portals or stargates without the knowledge of what you should be doing, if you start going through them, like in the movie, you want to make sure that you can get back. And they said to me, don't start looking forwards into these portals without the knowledge and keys that you've got, because otherwise you can go invisible and you've gone. And we saw some aspects of that the Americans have used in their Philadelphia project, where that ship went invisible. No true story, you can read about it. And then when it came back, you had people morphed through the side of the ship. Some people fell off the side of the ship and, found themselves in different realities and different years and things. So as light workers now, we're probably 50, 60 years behind what's been going on over there, but we're now catching up very quickly, because we're coming together as a team. The starseeds are waking up now. It's the time of the Great Awakening, and it gives us these opportunities to play in these portals. So that was the preamble then for 11/11, for knowing, okay, our primary purpose was to go up there to access this portal. And again, we don't get given all of the ingredients, do we? It's like baking a cake, We knew where we needed to go, so we knew what we were baking. I knew where the portal was, and we had to be at the portal too at precisely 111.
We'd done the pre-work at 11:11.
There was a little bit of pre-work that I passed over with Sharon too, that we had to do at 11:11 on Grandfather Rock too, with the reconfiguration of energy that then ran from Grandfather Rock, that we then directed down to the portal too. So that was my kind of piece of the jigsaw puzzle, kind of knowing what we were doing here, but didn't really know what we were putting into the cake mix to be able to access it all, other than Kevin had unlocked what we were doing. And then Sharon, if you want to just follow through a little bit on what you were doing as the keeper of the Stellar Gateways.
It was actually quite a profound day, because as I was even coming up to Grandfather Rock, the energies were just incredible. And I could feel the energies and starting to come through me. But as the time went on, we then moved down to the other set of rocks that Robert had pointed out, that where it actually needed to take place at 111. It just started to really build, and I just kind of found myself there but not there.
It was amazing, and we will post a video of Sharon actually opening up this stargate.
And then at the time when it just was happening, I just kind of, I wasn't me. It wasn't me, and it was just all being channeled through, and I didn't even know exactly, I knew the connections that had to be made, the portals and the stargates that had to be put in place. And there was actually, before that, I'd connected to a face that I'd seen on the very far side, of the opposite, from Castle Hill, looking across.
On the opposite range.
The opposite range. And there was a face, and it was looking straight up, but in the mountain. And honestly, the energies that were coming from there was incredible. So I knew that was a key part to connecting everything up as well. And I just felt myself at one stage even being lifted off.
Oh, you were shuddering.
I was shaking. It was profound. But just opening that gateway up and just seeing what is available, like being able to just sit there and just being able to really just project yourself out, but just, and just be, it'd be one, it's oneness. It was all I was getting was the oneness once I'd done all that. And it was so emotional. I was in tears. I was shaking.
I had to help you down.
Yeah, you look like you've been through a tsunami.
Sharon's legs were shaking like jelly.
It was profound.
Which it does, though, doesn't it? Like when you run that amount of energy through your body, it is like being a spiritual athlete.
Yeah.
Like you've got to be onto this because it shakes the whole framework of your physical and non-physical bodies to harness that amount of energy.
Well, it's been like 6 months of preparing our bodies, fasting, changes of diets,
and that's profound to do that. When you're doing this sort of work and you're holding the space and holding the energies that we do hold, then yes, your physical vessel has to be 100%. You can't do it. You can't do it otherwise. But just what I felt, the emotions I felt, the feelings that I felt, and it's changed me. I feel like on a cellular level, it's changed. But the energies that were sent out from that day, it's changed. I just feel like everything's just now in place to move forward, to bring us all into the oneness of where we need to be.
It's a new Earth timeline.
Yeah, absolutely.
And funny little story, as we were climbing the summit, and it's a real decent climb, like it is. And Sharon was lagging behind, and we were all getting a little bit worried, and she was like dragging her left leg.
My left leg.
I kept saying my left leg.
And we sort of stopped to look back at Sharon, and then what did you say to Rob?
I said to Rob, I feel like I've got something on my left leg. And because it just wasn't, I've moved my right leg, it was fine, and then my left leg would just feel like it was just dragging. I felt like it had there was just no weight. It was just like, I can't move my leg. And what did you say? Yeah, I had
you had a little black ET hanging onto her leg that was kind of drilling into your hip area there.
Yeah.
Because when we work in these areas, we try and get stopped by the other side of the fence. And
there was a lot of energy to clear.
There was a lot of energy to clear. There was a lot, on these very auspicious days, the other starseeds and light workers were outperforming our work. And it always succeeds. Our work succeeds, because we're following and connected to that divine light from the Creator. So it was quite interesting. As soon as we flicked off that little Klingon, Sharon
was off.
And then she was off. And it's beautiful because my primary psychic gift is my sight. So I see a lot of all of these interdimensional beings. So I understand for a reason why I've been gifted the sight and the skills and abilities and what we do working in the different dimensions to remove any of these dimensional beings whose time it is to go back home into the light. And there's many that are shifting at this time, many that we've been asked to help, go back home, Their projects have been successful, they fulfilled what they needed to do, part of that plan. Now we're actually into a different cycle. So it's lovely to be able to help them, move on too. So, that's a little preamble really for the work that we did on, the 1111 Gateway, but we wouldn't have been able to do it unless Kevin had opened up and deciphered actually what we need to do to open up that stellar gateway. And it's amazing land because if you read his book, in New Zealand here, it was around 30,000 years ago, wasn't it? With the big giants that we've had here.
16,000? Well, it could be 30.
Thousands, thousands and thousands of years ago. And they've left the clues for us in the stone structures, and it needed to be in stone because it's the only thing that would have survived after all of this time. And we're now able to we're a bit like Indiana Jones. Just before we came on the call, we were just saying it is like an Indiana Jones movie where we're getting the little pieces of the jigsaw puzzle at exactly the right time to start decoding it to open up these aspects of
we should do a bit of a slideshow, which will add of all the pictures of Castle Hill and
how it looked.
Oh yeah, it's
how
like
it
a
looks.
lunar landscape.
Yeah,
it's,
it is.
It's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's like New Zealand's Uluru.
It is.
It really is.
I reckon it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely an aspect of that.
Yeah.
And you know, we have the birthplace of the gods, which is just across the road from, which you can see from Castle Hill. We have the nest of the gods. Just before we started filming, Kevin was just telling us about an area there of the, what was it? Was it the playground of the gods? Playground of the gods that Kevin's just brought to a piece, and it was interesting because we were saying, oh, we need to go over there next time we come back to Castle Hill. And now Kevin said, oh yeah, that's the playground of the gods that's over in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And just over the next range behind that, we've got the home of the gods too. And they're interdimensional portals there that the other side of the fence have been using to start to come through into our aspects of reality. But in the last 2 or 3 years, they've been kept in the light, you know, to stop all of these things coming through. And that's, you know, it's lovely that that's part of Sharon's role here is keeping these interdimensional portals and stellar gateways held in the light now for us to start to work through. So it's, it's a beautiful time that we're here. So last night we were playing up at Castle Hill again, weren't we?
Yeah, this one was to do with the Lunar Eclipse and the gateway to the Pleiades, the connection there. And it was interesting because people come to our event and majority of them were Pleiadian starseeds. You know, when we asked, it was amazing. And, of course, you're a Pleiadian starseed, you're a Pleiadian starseed. And we set up on our pilgrimage up to the lower area. We didn't go to the summit. And it was an evening event. And it really just all unfolded. Like all of us were kind of checking in with each other because we don't pre-plan anything. And it was like you three were all scouting off around. So where would you like to start? With Robert, with Kevin? Where do you feel we should start on last night's experience?
Kevin.
Yeah, over to you, Kevin.
Because it was like you were scouting around, weren't you? Like,
yeah, you both had that
into
sense
the
of that.
energies. And
Yeah, well, I'd never been to Castle Hill, so driven past it many times and asked to stop many times, but was never willing to. So last night was exciting for me. And jumping around from rock to rock and finding different places and aspects and feeling the energy. Absolutely amazing place. But again, just guided to give information, you know, and talking to you about the pyramid, and that should be here, and because as soon as I got there, I got a vision of a pyramid,
And what pyramid was that?
so that's the pyramid that originally was there in that spot, which is now in Antarctica because of the land shifts. So, and I felt guided that Robert had to put that back in place, which transformed that I had to put that back.
yeah, well, it was interesting because there were two pyramids. There was an inner pyramid and then an outer pyramid. And we were working with, what was the crystal wand we were working with?
Plasma quartz.
Plasma quartz. And that was something that you brought to our reality.
Yeah, you brought it to our reality, and we ended up giving you the wand.
Yeah, the plasma quartz.
You didn't put into the crystal grid.
No,
it was just sitting there, and I'm like, And
didn't feel like it needed to be there.
I said to Robert, you need to give that wand to Kevin.
And plasma quartz, it's a 12th dimensional quartz. Really quite hard to find too, really quite hard. And they do say that it is, I think, ice that's potentially being struck by lightning, which then crystallizes because of the temperature and ferocity of it being hit into like a crystal. So it contains a lot of all of the consciousness, because the consciousness on the planet is held in the waters. And we'll be doing quite a bit of work on that coming up in the next month on cleaning up some of the water around it.
So what was happening with you, Kevin, when Robert, I knew you two were both sitting there talking, and then Robert handed the wand over, and then you seemed to go very deep.
Yeah, so I just got a calling just to reground myself and connect to Mother Earth Gaia and bring that energy through. and then was guided to go and stand on a rock very high, and go from Grandfather Rock down to where you were sitting, because where you were sitting was another energy centre. So that energy was flowing through, and just feeling that energy, and then I got drawn for forgiveness. So for those who don't know, that Lemuria and Atlantis were destroyed at the same time. Lemuria took a little bit longer. Atlantis took a little bit after, on a massive wave. But Lemuria just sunk straight away. So, and that was caused by Lucifer coming into the plane, third dimension. And he controlled everybody, and then had Lemuria and Atlantis fight each other. And they used their powers and gifts on each other. Luckily, there are crystals still hidden that were hidden before the destruction happens. The next key is to finding those crystals again.
And you shared, you shared about your story personally being in Atlantean. Do you want to share that too? Because I found that amazing.
Well, I was collared. So I had a collar put on my voice, so I couldn't use my powers. So that, and coming through. So, the last 10,000 years for me, I've decided not to do anything. So a lot like other light workers and starseeds, this is our lifetime to go, we're going to win this one. We lost the last one, and we were juked and tricked. So this time we are going to.
And there's a lot of dupery and trickery going on.
There is, but we're not listening to it.
No.
This time we've pushed ourselves away from it, or pushed it away from us and gone, actually, I'm not watching the TV anymore.
No.
I'm not listening to you. I want to raise my vibration so I can just walk away from it, and still love. The goal is here to show love. Don't take ownership of what other people are saying. It's what they're saying. Just make yourself positive, and still, even though they're saying nasty things, just say, well, I love you for that. Thank you.
So powerful.
Yeah, and that way we're pushing light through darkness, and therefore we will win.
So, firstly, thank you for sharing that, because that's a really personal story going back into your past lives. And that what you're saying is that was a big piece that you had to forgive.
Yes.
That darkness.
Yeah.
And that's when you were up on the rock where we've got you pictured as a solitary figure.
Yes, so what happened was I saw Sharon coming across, and I felt the need to be with Sharon at that point. And as we were walking up onto a rock, it came out that I forgive, as an Atlantean, I forgive Lucifer for his actions that caused destruction of Atlantis and Lemuria, and totally forgave him, and sent that through. And then after that energy was cleared, which was done with light language, which Sharon was doing at the same time, I invited the Lemurians to come home. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's because as I saw you coming down from the high rock, I just got this big sense that I had to be over there with you, and then we've got to be up on this rock. And it's you've got when you stand up there, you can look that way and you see.
Yeah, so the energy was coming
through, and it was being directed straight through both paths, from grandfather to grandmother, and straight through to us. But it was just that unlocking. Just the knowing and that intuition that that's what needed to be done.
Yeah.
And that just seemed like that final piece from 11:11 that needed to allow what was to then bring forward for the rest of the night as we were up there.
Yeah, and there was a lot of it. There was a lot of
there
love.
was.
The heartfelt.
The whole energy of the whole place just kind of just settled down. I just felt there was a whole settling of energy when that took place.
It's interesting because, like, if we look at our lives in isolation, you know, as starseeds, like, we're here for our own journey, but then the work that we do as starseeds in our own personal life is what shifts all of the energy then for humanity too. It is, because it's part of, you know, things that come up for me, all right, I identify them, I release it, but you can feel that release then in the layers of consciousness around us too. You know, so we're all here to have these experiences, good or bad, who knows? But when we're more than just our own life, because the effect that we have with our generally extraordinary superpowers, our connection, our ability to co-create like this, it sets the framework there for your forgiveness, what was required at this time for everything that had gone on before.
Like, that's so profound.
It's
taking
profound,
it right back to Lucifer and the fall
Yeah.
of consciousness. Like,
It is going goosebumpy, like sharing it, but
I'm
it
just
is like we can't look at our lives as just, oh, it's just my individual life. Yes, it is that aspect, but when we're starseeds, we're here then to work through what every one of us is here to work through. But as soon as you do, it affects the collective. You know,
It does.
It really does. It's like people say we're all connected. Yes, we are. And as starseeds, we're not better than anyone else. It's just that we've got a piece of a project to do over here. Yeah, it's why we've incarnated back at this time.
So
move. We're going this way, thank you.
And just to release all that that needs to be released.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a big supercomputer when we're doing these ceremonies. Like Robert channeled not even the last 2 ceremonies ago, how they need 10 people. The Galactic Council said that they need at least 10 of us together, so that then they can take the work we're doing, like upload it to the quantum field, to then upgrade the activations. And it's incredible. Like, we didn't know that.
No.
But there's always been more than 10 people show up. Always. And the right people show up at the ceremony.
Right people. That's right. The right starseeds, typically starseeds, show up at the right time for us to be able to do the work. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do the work.
No, and I had
the synchronicities of it's mind blowing.
Yeah, and then you have those people that don't show up and they ask for a refund, and you go, yeah, sure, because you weren't meant to be there. Yeah. And then they next show up to another one, and you know, it was like you couldn't come to the one that we were doing. Well, Sharon, and then you were definitely flying down because you had to come from the North Island to make it to last night. Yeah, and lo and behold, you played such an integral.
Oh, we couldn't have done the work without you being there.
No.
Yeah, no.
Like, that's how much you have to listen to your intuition. It's absolutely imperative.
Yeah.
So then what happened then once Kevin and Sharon, you really brought the channeling forward, which will be lovely to post after this. Do you want to just share what the work was that you were doing with the channeling and who you were channeling?
So have you got your little pyramid here?
Oh, I'll be right back. You keep talking.
Because there was an activation that Anita brought forward when she brings back her little crystal pyramid that really seemed to like electrify the crystal formations that were at Castle Hill. And we were having a bit of a talk beforehand about the crystals as we were being smudged ready for the ceremony and what was happening. But everything unfolds in the present moment, doesn't it? Like, there was no pre-scripture on, exactly this is what we were doing. In tuning in, even before we all met, I knew there was going to be a configuration of some work to do with the pyramids. But really, I had no idea on the ingredients and what we were actually doing until we start showing up. And I think it's designed that way, so we just have to be in the present moment. It comes to us when we're heart-centered, when we're in the present moment, when we're running on life force energy, running all through our chakra systems and meridians and nadis. You know, you breathe, you ground yourself, and it's like, okay, right, here's the gift of this is what you're here to do. Because I think if we start thinking about things, you know, very third dimensional, your head gets in the way and blocks actually what you're meant to be doing.
And things do come through like that. You never really sort of underestimate, you know, the information that comes through, because the Antarctic Pyramid down there, I mentioned that to you probably, about a month and a half ago?
Yeah.
That it's an integral part of what we are going to be doing.
What we're doing, yeah, that's right.
And I got that, it would have been about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
And they talk about a lot of the Atlantean technology doesn't work. It's down in Antarctica, and it doesn't work because the land mass of Antarctica has shifted, but the energy is coming through where New Zealand is. And so it makes sense that we need a lot of the sound vibrations now to harness a lot of the old technologies. So we were consistently creating the pyramids and electrifying them around the world. On what event were we doing that?
Oh,
was that on 11/11?
That was just after 11/11 on the Saturday, 12. So it was still in the 11/11 Gateway. That's right.
Yeah.
On 12/10.
The Gimpy Pyramid.
Where with the Gimpy Pyramid, that's right. Which talking to the elders in Australia and the Aboriginal people, was the first settlement of humanity on the planet. And the Gimpy Pyramid was created by the Pleiadians. And the Pleiadians came to Gimpy too to use the gold that is found in Gimpy to line the Great Pyramid in Giza and in Egypt. And so we electrified energetically the pyramid at Gimpy to its former glory, where the pyramids were all in these energy devices used to communicate to one and the other. So if you wanted to send information, knowledge, wisdom, whatever it was used through the pyramids around the world. And we electrified the pyramids around the Ring of Fire on 12/11.
Yeah, so it was Gimpy on the 11th, and then
Gimpy on the 11th.
13th was the...
Yeah,
was that 13th? Yeah, the next Cacao Ceremony. And then yesterday when we were at Castle Hill, it was creating that pyramid structure, actually 2 pyramids. It was a pyramid within a pyramid at Castle Hill, and, creating it through the sound vibrations that started
ring us at the end.
With this beautiful device. And with Kevin, starting to build that. And it was interesting as we were sitting in ceremony, because it's a part of where Anita joins us with your amazing skills on decoding the energy system that we have in the body, and where we can get blockages through the chakra systems with the emotions. And a lot of the work that we've done up until this time is decoding and making sure that the chakra system on the whole planet is open, because if the planet's chakras are closed, you're going to feel closed because we're connected to Gaia. And last night there were quite a few distortions, just energy blocks in the configuration that we were creating in the pyramid. We had to do the same
but
thing.
It's thanks to your ability to be able to detect exactly precisely where they are, and then you require my exact preciseness to tell you what it is.
So
and then
we can,
when you listen to Robert's channeling, I've never heard him channel where he was channeling in English and then clearing it in light language and then asking me. So it was the most interactive channeling that I've ever heard. Yeah.
We did the same thing. Or was it the 13 grandmothers?
I was going to say that's where it all really began. Yeah. And then the 13 grandmothers was actually the year before, in 2019.
That's right.
Then there was the Serpent and the Unfinished Ceremony in 2020. Yeah, and then this year, wow, what's going to be 2021? Yeah, 21, 12, 21. Yeah, this solstice.
Oh, that's going to be huge. Already feel that one.
But my little bit of prelude prior to the Gimpy Pyramid coming to the fore, again, a connection where we've seen a client who then has recommended some people to us, and then next thing Robert's seeing them, and then I'm seeing them, and then they tell Robert about this Gimpy Pyramid. We're like, wow. And they came on the call, and then they told us all about what had happened and how the government had driven a highway through it and taken it down. It had been dismantled over years and years, and stones put into churches. And they were so upset, like they were crying on the call, because that very day it had been bulldozed through.
That was emotional.
And then I'd been dreaming about pyramids prior to this. And when we went to this music shop, I said to Robert, I have to go into that room. And lo and behold, I'd been dreaming about pyramids, and I took one look at this and I said, we have to have that, like $700 worth. We have to have that. And
I'm like, are you sure it's $700?
It's Quartz.
No, I didn't say that,
No.
because we're guided, you know, and these things show up in our reality for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
And money then doesn't come into it,
Yeah.
because the activations that we've had since, we wouldn't have been able to work and open up without using it.
And that guided meditation on 11:11, how powerful was that? You said you felt the pyramid go right up through you.
Yeah, definitely. It was
Okay,
just
enjoyed it.
go through.
Yeah,
know.
that we will post 11:11 so you can listen to.
Let's unmute ourselves, otherwise you'll be doing, what do they call it? Lip reading.
Oh, lip breathing.
Yeah, true.
Sign language.
Good pick
Sign
up.
language.
Yeah, so that was really how all the pyramid came into all this amazing
Yeah, it's amazing just how
synchronicity,
it
isn't
is
it?
the synchronicity.
No coincidence how it all gets pulled together.
And it was interesting, like last night with the activations and the clearings that we were doing in creating this framework, it was broadcasted out into humanity like a lot of the work that we do is. And we did a little piece of work in November touching humanity into their sacred heart space. And it was one of the most moving pieces of work we've ever done. Again, collectively working with starseeds and light workers, just pointing humanity out from their head into their sacred heart space, you know, and actually showing them through the beautiful little crystal cave and on that beautiful little altar of the expression of the pink diamond, which was a layer of consciousness held by the elementals at the fall of consciousness that Kevin was talking about, and that aspect of love was held there. So that was a preamble for the work that we did yesterday on the just over the 20th. I'll have to have a look on the computer. Yeah, the 20th. Forget what it was. On the 20th.
That's why we have to record this so that we all remember.
It is, because otherwise it's gone.
Yeah.
And that aspect, when we broadcasted it out, using the power of all of the pyramids around the world that have now been electrified and held in the light by our beautiful keeper of the stellar gateways, electrified an aspect of consciousness within everybody on the planet. You know, everyone now, when I look at them, they've got that aspect of that pyramid, which is electrified in their sacred heart space. Yeah, in their sacred heart space. And inside the sacred heart space, we have that wick of consciousness that connects us into the 24th dimension. Like you can see on a wick of a flame of a candle, you have the bottom piece, which is orange, and that's the infinite
Pure love.
Yeah, infinite pure love. We have then the beautiful white piece in the middle, and that's infinite pure light. And then we have the blue tip, like you have on the flame, and that's infinite pure consciousness. And infinite pure consciousness. And when you mix those three dimensions together in your sacred heart space, you get the 24th dimension. And it's a beautiful aspect that we play in as light workers and starseeds That's our dimension to play in. Yeah. And when I look in that configuration now with everyone, that's been illuminated. So that piece of work that we did there is just another aspect to allow humanity, because it's all choice. Do you want to be in that third dimensional aspect, or do you want to shift over into the fifth dimension, sixth dimension, actually, where we're going? So, yeah, it's beautiful how it unfolds in touching humanity into their soul and some of that remembrance that was kept in your sacred heart space, to now we're illuminating it. So we'll be using these broadcasting devices, these pyramids, much more now, because it's going to make it far easier for us to touch humanity within their sacred heart spaces. Because like the old pyramids, you know, around the Ring of Fire, it was, okay, we're going to send a message from here into this race around the world, and this one, this one, this one, so everyone picks it up. So it's just no surprise that in the work that we all did yesterday, it was creating that so we can start to broadcast into all of humanity.
And I feel that, you know, like bringing forward all these activations and stuff that I do, I feel that being broadcast out when it happens. And it's amazing feeling, you know, just to know that what we're doing is changing humanity.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
We are changing, and it is changing. Everything is changing.
So lots of people ask, what can I do at this time? Come and start showing up. Like, you know, there's a power in the numbers, and you know, I'm really being asked, which is why I've created the YouTube channel, and also going on looking at YouTube and Rumble, BitChute, and these other platforms where we can express ourselves freely. Where we'll be doing free world service events, you know, where again, all of the star seeds, the light workers will come together, and we'll start orchestrating there the work that's being channeled through for us to help humanity start to remove a lot of the toxins in humanity, clean up all of the seas, the rivers, the air, the land. The creator was telling me on the channeling last week that, you know, there's going to be new species that are brought to the planet by the dragonfly. Very amazing, powerful interdimensional being, you know, but in a physical form. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of work that each and every one of you can come and help us and support us with the work and activations that we're doing. Yeah.
And I think that work with the world service, it's bringing us all together, even though we can't all physically be together. There's more power to us all coming together in an etherical collective with now all these etherical pyramids and this communication grid that's now on Gaia. Like, can you just imagine when we start really growing those numbers?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's my number one priority now is to create that and really getting that push from the universe.
So
it's time to
absolutely.
create it.
And if you're listening to us today and you're enjoying it, please do share it, because we really want to build up the numbers very quickly so that we can all begin working together as a collective, because we just know the power of what we need to push through. There is a real need for us to come together.
Yeah, and we'll be sharing afterwards too the website link where you can find us on World Service Event. So there'll be information that comes on.
Have you created that website?
We registered the domain last week.
And what's that one?
worldserviceevent.com.
Oh, wow.
Top of my head, but we'll confirm it on after the.
It's all unfolding so quickly.
I can't believe it's actually available. Like, what's the chance of that?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a platform then that we're using to just, you know, share the information that we've just spoken about and actually what's coming up.
And I think what's profound is that when you are holding an intention for humanity, like world peace, harmony, oneness, that when you're holding that for humanity, you're also holding it for yourself. So there's this double effect. And I find that really amazing too, like what you were saying about love, respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, once you're creating that intention for others, well, you're already in that energy yourself.
The key is then we have a mechanism where we can start broadcasting it to humanity and really touching them. You know, and that's really the work that I've been asked to bring forward. It's the how to do that.
The how's really important. It's all right to talk about it, but we've all got to know how. What do we do? How do we do it?
We start coming together in the numbers, working with higher realms of consciousness, with spiritual and galactic brothers and sisters, and helping us direct it collectively together, piecing it together, and baking that beautiful cake, and then let's go and put it out.
Right, so that's a wrap. Any final words from Sharon and Kevin?
Knowledge is key. Share it. Knowledge is light. Darkness is not having knowledge. So walk in the light, get knowledge. It's
beautiful. Yeah. And I think just, as Robert said, be in your heart space, be kind, and just be who you are, speak your truth, and just don't be afraid, no fear, just be you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And, when we share from our sacred heart space, and we can run through, what someone else's truth is their truth. Doesn't mean it has to be your truth. So two rights make a right, If you're right about your perspective, great, you're right. Then I'm equally right about mine. So it doesn't mean that we have to go to war over that. Two rights are right. So run it through your filter system to see how the truth that you might be listening to, or someone's telling you this is the truth. Ask yourself, and I share with lots of clients, put your hands on your heart space and make that connection into your sacred heart and ask whether that's truth to you or not. And you'll get that upward feeling of excitement, or you get the sinking feeling like we have, something bad's going to happen. So it's a great, easy way to just make that connection, to ask for yourself. So, yeah, I'm really excited about what's coming up, and the work that we did yesterday. Thank you all. It was profound. It was incredible,
Oh, here comes Harley. He's been desperate to be part of it.
Willie Mammoth holding the space for us down there.
Yeah, and the final word I'd like to say, exactly, just really the authenticity it takes to be yourself and speak your truth is determination, and to be relentless with that determination. What is it you call yourself?
Well, a fearless, relentless hunting machine. Because as keeper of the light, I get to play with all of the different interdimensional beings and the ones from over the fence there, and help them move home. So I hunt out the darkness, I'm a keeper of the light. So I find that balance for humanity. It's my purpose as to why I'm here. It's my dharma, an aspect of that. And, for me, it's alchemical too. We're alchemists. And for me, it's all about 100% spiritual growth, 100% service for humanity. That's an alchemist. So I have many people, even yesterday at the Cacao Ceremony, they asked me, well, do you have any downtime? And I'm like, yeah, I do have a little bit. A small amount, not very much, because there is the continual work that we do.
Well, you even do light language in your sleep when you're clearing things.
And I don't mind. It's why I'm here. I'm here with starseeds.
That's exactly it. This is why we're here.
We are. We're just here to do the work now. We're all here. We're incarnated now to do the work. And it's nice being kind of like the composer. I've always been able to magnetically draw and pull the right team in together to do the projects that we're working on. And now it's beautiful, the work that we've been doing. And I call on the work of Kevin and Sharon on a daily basis to help clear the energies that we're experiencing from some of the Wi-Fi effects and from where some of these things are coming in through portals. That we're calling on the consciousness that we can do with our fellow starseeds to support us with that. Making sure that they're from, these higher dimensions, the dimensions that we can play in, and we don't want to start playing in the dimensions that the other side of the fence playing. You just don't want to stop there. Believe me, don't get off on the elevator.
Yeah. But I also think too, even just listening to this, watching it, and if you feel like, oh, that's actually me, I'm feeling a bit like that, or I haven't really done anything, but I've always had a knowing, and that, do get in touch, because it's an amazing feeling. That's what happened, with me, and Yeah, so definitely, you know, you might not think, oh, no, that's not me, or whatever, but if you have that feeling about it, just really do.
Yeah.
Just get in touch, and, you know, it's life-changing. It absolutely is. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it'll all start opening up for people as they join these world service.
Oh, absolutely.
Their personal calling, dharma, higher purpose. As soon as we all join on these world service, we're ticking the box of higher purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will shift you exponentially.
Yeah.
It will do in your frequency.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, we might just finish off with you hearing this amazing crystal quartz pyramid, and then we'll finish. So thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Just goes on and on and on. It's beautiful. Just take that in.
It's magical.
See you later.